I was a fool. I thought the old tales were just stories, something to scare children. I decided to find out, to tempt fate, to break every rule the ancestors warned us against in one single night. Now, I know, the old ways are not dead. They were just sleeping, and I woke them all. I started in the forest, the ancient woods that have stood for 1,000 years. The old ones say, you must never whistle in the forest after the sun has set. They say it calls him, the guardian, the master of the trees and beasts. Leshy, they say it mocks him, enrages him, challenge he cannot ignore. So I whistled, a shrill, sharp sound that cut through the silence. At first, nothing. Just the wind in the branches, the rustling of unseen things in the undergrowth. I felt foolish, a grown man, whistling in the dark. Then the forest went silent, completely. Not a single leaf stirred. Not a cricket chirped. An unnatural stillness fell over everything. The air grew heavy, cold. I felt eyes on me from every direction. I turned, my light cutting through the oppressive darkness, and I saw him, a fleeting shape between the gnarled trees, taller than any man, formed of bark and moss and shadow. 2 points of pale light burned where his eyes should be. My whistle had been answered. He was there, watching, waiting. The silence broke with a sound like 1,000 branches snapping at once. I turned to run, but a face of twisted bark and rage filled my vision. The forest itself screamed. Ixt! The river, the dark, cold water that snicks through the land. The elders forbid throwing anything into the water after dusk. It is his home, the domain of the Vodnik. To throw your filth into his realm is the ultimate insult. It defiles his world, and he will drag you down to his to make you pay. So I stood on the bank, a bag of refuse in my hand. The moon's reflection was a perfect silver disc on the black, glassy surface. I tossed the bag in. It landed with a sickening splash, ripples shattering the moon's image. For a moment, it just floated there. Then, a disturbance from below. Not a fish. Something bigger, something pale and long, snaked out of the depths, wrapping around the bag and pulling it under in an instant. The water bubbled and churned. I leaned closer, my light trying to pierce the murky depths. That was my mistake. I burst from the water, inches from my own. Green, rotting flesh, tangled weeds for hair, eyes like stagnant pools of hate. A scream tore from his throat, a sound of drowning and decay, as the river itself seemed to rise up and swallow me whole. I ran from the riverbank, my heart a drum against my ribs. I sought refuge in what looked like an abandoned house, an old Soviet-era block, crumbling and forgotten. But even here, there are rules. Must always greet the Domovoy, the spirit of the house, when you enter. Acknowledge him, show him respect, or he will make you regret your intrusion. I burst through the door without a word, slamming it shut behind me. The air was thick with dust and neglect. A single light bulb flickered erratically, casting long, dancing shadows. A chair scraped across the floor in the other room. I froze. It wasn't the wind. The windows were boarded up. The scraping came again, louder this time. A cupboard door slammed shut. I crept forward, peering into the living room. The furniture was moving, a heavy table sliding inches at a time, a wardrobe rocking on its feet. Then I saw it, a shadow in the corner, darker than the others. 2 pinpricks of light blinked open within it. It saw me. An inhuman shriek echoed through the apartment as every piece of furniture was hurled towards me at once. A storm of wood and metal and splintering glass. My escape led me to another place of old warnings. The banya, the bathhouse, place of cleansing, but also of great danger. The one rule everyone knows: never enter the banya alone after midnight. It is then that the Bannik comes out to beg. To disturb him is to invite a terrible fate. He is a malevolent spirit, one who delights in peeling the skin from intruders with boiling water and steam. The door creaked open into a wall of thick, suffocating steam. I couldn't see a foot in front of me. The heat was immense. Water dripped from the wooden ceiling, hissing on the hot stones. I stepped inside. The mirror on the far wall was clouded with condensation. As I watched, a hand began to wipe it clean. From the inside, a face began to form in the cleared circle, skeletal face with burned, blackened skin hanging from the bone. It stared at me from the other side of the glass, its own skin starting to bubble and peel away. Its mouth opened in a silent scream as boiling water began to pour from the ceiling, scalding my skin. The last thing I saw was its screaming mouth filling the mirror before a flash of fire consumed everything. I found myself outside again, stumbling through the darkness. It was 3 a.m., the witching hour. I was at a crossroads in a deserted village, the place where worlds meet, and I was about to break the final taboo. To walk backwards at a crossroads at 3 a.m. is to summon her, the one you never want to meet. Likho, the embodiment of misfortune, a tall, one-eyed woman cloaked in black. She is a harbinger of pure evil. I turned my back to the center of the crossroads and began to walk backwards. 1 step, 2, 3. A streetlight above me flickered and died. I stopped and turned. Far down one of the roads, a figure stood, tall, thin, dressed in black. I blinked, and she was closer. My blood ran cold. I blinked again, closer still. She wasn't walking. With every blink, she simply appeared nearer. I squeezed my eyes shut, praying it was a hallucination. When I opened them, she was right there. Her single, malevolent eye filled my entire vision. It stared into my soul, promising a lifetime of sorrow and pain. Then the world tore in two. It was then I realized my fatal error. I hadn't just angered one spirit, I had angered them all, and I had led them to one another. The rules exist for a reason. They keep the spirits in their own domains, separate, contained. But I had crossed the boundaries. I had built a bridge. The forest began to bleed into the house. The river's water flowed through the banya. The crossroads appeared in every doorway. Leshy's branches tore through the walls. Vodnik's grasping hands reached from puddles on the floor. The Domovoy threw burning logs from the Bannik stove. And through it all, Likho watched with her single, unblinking eye. Their screams merged into one unbearable chorus, the air filled with whispers, twisting around me, crawling into my ears. You called us. You brought us together. Now you will stay. You are ours forever. They never let me leave. You're watching this because they allowed it. A warning, a trophy, proof of their power. There is no escape. Not for me, and maybe not for you.